like we are live. Happy 2020, because I have not been on here since the year changed over. I hope you're all having a great start to the year. This is your Future Stars Friday forecast, the follow-up edition, and I am so happy to have on the line with me Brad Cox. How are you doing, Brad?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And what a 2019 you had. And this was on the heels of 2018, where you had Monomoy Girl. She went on a grade 1 tear, including wins in the Kentucky Oaks and the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Of course, she went on to win an Eclipse Award as champion 3-year-old filly. And now, in 2019, you had 2 horses go forward, win Breeders' Cup races, and are now Eclipse finalists. And you yourself are up for Outstanding Trainer. How does that feel?
It's great.
Yeah, it's a stupid question. But I mean, really, it's one of those things that, I mean, we have to live vicariously through people like you. And when all the hard work that goes into it, the day in, the day out. I mean, is there anything from the outside, when people are always talking about, as fans of horse racing, we don't get to see the day in, day out necessarily. Is there anything that you wish people understood that maybe they don't yet, even with, the height of media being able to take people to the backside? You're still not there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just I think in order to be, I've always kind of said, in order to be successful at this, I mean, you have to have a passion for it in some way.
Yes.
Whether as far as a trainer, I think it helps to be super competitive. I mean, you gotta, and all these top guys, I mean, they're super competitive, and it's a lot. It's an endless job. I mean, the amount of hours, I hear about NFL coaches and how much time they put into, running a pro football team, and I don't think it's much different with a large stable of horses. I mean, it's, whether it's phone calls or, just the training of the horses, the daily care, looking after them. I mean, it's a lot of time. It's a grind, but you look forward to it. And honestly, every morning, when you get up and you can go in and look at horses like the Monomoy Girl, Covfefe, British Idiom, those type of horses, honestly, it makes it very easy. I mean, it's rewarding to go in and look forward to having champions and developing them and looking for the future champions. So, it's a very rewarding game. It's a passion that I think that, like I said, to be successful, you really have to love it.
Well, you are from Louisville, correct?
Yes, born and raised.
Well, do you prefer Louisville or Louisville? There's the whole debate.
Louisville as opposed to
oh gosh, just the way you roll the Louisville, Louisville.
Louisville. It's Louisville. No, it's home for me. I mean, Churchill is where I started. It's home base for me. Mid-March through then to November, it's our home base, and it's where we do the most of the work with the better horse. I shouldn't say the better horses, but it's where we keep the champions. Hopefully the future champions. The horses we're trying to develop and become either Breeders' Cup horses, Oaks horses, Derby horses, whatever they may be. Horses, we try to keep them based there at Churchill. We just kind of our comfort zone, I guess you could say.
Well, always being inspired by those twin spires. I know you were assistant trainer to Dallas Stewart, who's one of the most charismatic figures we have in racing. What was that like for you?
It was great. I mean, we had a lot of really nice horses. Had the opportunity to be around the Broadway Lane. I think we had Nasty Storm in the Oaks. I was right before he won the Oaks with Lemons Forever,
yeah.
And then we had a Dollar Bill. We had some really nice horses those days, and it was, I think the biggest thing I always say I learned from that operation was obviously having a lot of horses and, just the organization skills and that you have to have in order to run a large barn. So it was very good for me.
Well, you went off on your own at 25, correct?
Yeah, I was right at 25 when I left.
And you just really had a breakout year in 2014, and it's just skyrocketed since. I mean, now you have horses. We were talking about this in the pregame interview. I mean, you have horses at the fairgrounds, at Oaklawn, Aqueduct, you know, it's a lot to manage, but I mean the professionalism that goes into it, and you've got your sons helping you out who are amazing. I mean, I'm older than you are, and I was shocked that you have sons who already look like, I mean, they're ready to take on pretty much anything.
Yeah, I hope they don't take half my business when they leave me.
Well, there's
or all of it.
well, I mean, and you know what? They look like you too. How cool is that? You've got your, you know, they're following the work ethic, and they look just like their dad. And Blake, Bryson, if you're out there listening, guys rock. But so this is the Future Stars Friday forecast. So we will talk about your filly who ran on Future Stars Friday successfully. And of course, we're talking about British Idiom. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. This was following a Grade 1 win in the Darley Alcibiades. This filly, she's now 3 for 3. She cost $40,000 as a yearling, and she has now made just under $1.4 million. What was she like when she got to the barn? What were your expectations for her then? Did she surprise you? Was she as good as you always thought?
When she came in, Paul Sharp did a great job with her. He does a great job with all of them. They always come in well broke. I always feel like he leaves a lot. I mean, you know, he leaves plenty of meat on the bone. He gives you an opportunity. He does his job. He breaks them, gets them going the right way. And she was just like all the horses we get from Paul, as far as just mentally able to do what we needed to do to take the next step to kind of push and press on them. She was a good workhorse. And we thought enough of her to take her to Saratoga, and you know, we found out, you know, she was purchased for $40,000, so it gave us an opportunity to run in the restricted maiden race at Saratoga. So I believe 9 days before that first start, we worked her Churchill from the gate, and I thought, you know, let's work her, and if she works well, let's do this, and it worked out extremely well. We shipped her up 4 or 5 days right before the maiden race, and we liked her a lot. We liked her a lot that day, and it worked out well. She broke her maiden. She received a good big figure, and we started thinking. Actually, I think I nominated her to the Spinaway. I just didn't feel comfortable running her back in 14 days, 16 days, whatever it was, to the Spinaway. I said, you know, this is a good filly, run a good number. Let's give her time to rebound. She's very laid back. We told Javier that in the paddock that day. I actually was not there, but I told Dustin, my assistant at Belmont and Saratoga, I said, just tell Javier she's real laid back. You know, who knows how she'll act when she gets to the paddock or on the track. And Javier said, in the post-parade, he's like, she's really, after the fact or after the race, he said, you know, she's a really chill filly. He said, you know, I actually thought there was something wrong with her, like she was sick.
Oh, no.
She's really, really laid back. It's kind of scary. So, you know, we talked it over with Saul Kuman and John Panagot, which obviously has Javier's book, and, you know, he really liked her and said, you know, let's maybe look at the Pocahontas or the Alcibiades, and we actually entered her in the Pocahontas, and the week before, her work just wasn't what we were looking for. She came out of it, decided to pull a blood on her after we had entered, and the blood work just wasn't quite where it needed to be, so we just pulled the plug. The owners responded well. You know, they just said, look, she's not where we need to be. Let's not run her, and worked her another couple times, and she worked much better, back on track. And then her performance in the Alcibiades, I mean, it was devastating. It was awesome. An amazing race.
It was awesome. And, you know, the thing that's really cool about this filly is I had talked to Liz Crow about her after she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And I just think it's interesting with that pedigree. She's by Flashback, your winner of the Robert B. Lewis. And then her dam is out. Her dam is by Mr. Sakaguchi. And I've been telling people whenever I've talked about her on this broadcast, you know, it's okay if you don't know who Mr. Sakaguchi is. But that being said, that horse was bred in the purple. Mr. Sakaguchi is a son of Stormcat out of a half sister to AP Indy and Summer Squall. So just the influence there, I mean, for this filly, those are some really nice genetics going forward, even if that stallion himself hadn't, you know, done a ton. But that's why you got that nice price on her, because she was obviously, I mean, she's a nice physical specimen, because that group does not pick horses that aren't.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's, you know, the purchase price was just, you know, the paper wasn't there she had the physical, but she just didn't have the paper, and that credit goes to Liz for
yes,
identifying that, and then obviously she rewarded the owners.
Yeah, it was
she will reward the owners with obviously her earnings, and hopefully someday as a broodmare,
so
big time, because she's she's created a page.
Yes. Yes, she has. In fact, I can't think of the filly's name right now, but there was actually, I thought it was fitting that she won the Darley Alcibiades, because there's another Darley Alcibiades winner in that female family. I can't think of her name right now. But that being said, let's go to the Future Stars Friday performance in the Juvenile Fillies. It must have felt really good. I say this to anybody who has a horse that shows fight. It must have felt really good to see her dig in against Donna Veloce and ultimately overcome. How do you feel that bears out going forward?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The type of fight that she showed in the Juvenile Fillies. Going forward, that's got to be encouraging to know that you have a horse that is willing to dig down like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And, honestly, I don't think she really got a hold of that track out there at Santa Anita. And I'm not sure any of those fillies that day got a hold of that track. That track was extremely deep that Friday. And it was a tough track to get through. And, going up the backside, I was very concerned with where we were. She took a little bit of bounced around a little bit going into the first turn. And I thought, and Javier did a good job of trying to keep the position he could. But then going up the backside, it looked like to me she was just kind of off the bridle, and he was kind of nudging her along. And they were kind of chasing a fast pace, but the horses in front looked like to me they were just doing it a little bit easier, so I was a little concerned. And then at the 3/8 pole, I was still concerned, and I think you can even listen to Larry Colmus in the call. He said she was coming under a strong ride from Javier. I think maybe at the 5/16 inside the 3/8 at the 5/16, but when he got her out, I could tell the horses in front were really starting. The pace was really starting to take its toll on him. I was like, she might wear these horses down. And then I do know that, like, we really did work, have her as tight as we could have her.
Yeah.
Having trained her there at Churchill, or 2 works after the Alcibiades, where, we were looking for stiff works, and she gave them to us with strong gallop outs. And I knew that there was nothing more we could do with her. I mean, if she was good enough, she would get there. And, it just come down to her. Obviously, her having 2 races as opposed to Donna Veloce just having the 1, and we had a 2-turn race under our belt. I think proved to be vital the last 16th of a mile, and she gutted it out, and I was very proud of her. And like you said, I mean, you got to have confidence in her moving forward, that when she gets in a dogfight, she's going to dig down deep and give you what she's got.
Yeah, I think a lot of people outside of, people who haven't grown up with the horses, I think sometimes, not all people, but I think sometimes there are people who forget that these horses aren't just the numbers on the page, that there are still herd dynamics that come into it. And you've got a hierarchy. And so when you, again, see a horse fight back like that, it's good. It's good to know that you have an alpha type female, or, with the boys, an alpha male. But it was a really exciting throwdown, because here I was a fan of both horses. Donna, well, I'm a fan of all the horses, to be honest with you. So, but that being said, I mean, I had just snuggled with Donna a couple days before, and British Idiom was a horse that I liked in the Darley Alcibiades, and so I had both on my ticket. Not that they were big prices, obviously, but I had both on my tickets, so I'm rooting for both. So it was pretty fun. In fact, I had a friend, actually, she caught video of me jumping up and down for them, so it was pretty cool. I was happy with it. I was happy with the result. And again, you must have been ecstatic. Now, going forward, she took a little time off. She's had, was it 2 works back now? She just worked on the 5th?
Yeah, she had a 3/8 and a half mile last weekend.
Okay, so how do you feel about her coming back? How's she getting into the swing of things?
Really good. I mean, she's really come back well. We left her in the barn. She didn't go to a farm or anything. She shipped down to the fairgrounds right before Christmas, and she settled in great. Very happy with the way she's breezed last week and this week. I mean, she did it the right way. Mm-hmm. We wasn't looking for anything fancy quite yet. Right now, our goals, we're pointing for the Rachel mid.
Yes.
Rachel, yeah, that's a grade 2 mid February.
February 15th.
Yeah, we'll look to take the similar path that we took with Monomoy Girl,
who won the race in 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one race at a time. I mean, we'll see. She obviously has she obviously likes Keeneland. She trained at Keeneland in the spring. So we know she likes Keeneland. Obviously, she won the Grade 1 there, and it would probably be the logical spot to try to end up back in the Ashland. But we'll let things develop over the next month or so and see how things go.
Well, another thing that's encouraging is going back to the juvenile fillies. She beats Donna Veloce, and then Bass was third, and then of course Bass went on to beat Donna Veloce in the Grade 1 Starlet, and Bass has also since won her 3-year-old debut in the Santa Ynez Stakes. So obviously the quality is there. That you have a filly that beat both those girls, and now, like you said, going forward, again, the Rachel Alexandra, February 15th. That race is a 50-pointer for the Oaks. And as you mentioned, Monomoy Girl won that race in 2018, ahead of going on and obviously collecting the lilies and going on to, of course, win the Breeders' Cup Distaff. In fact, she's not the only horse to have come out of the Rachel Alexandra to score in the Kentucky Oaks, because last year, Serengeti Empress did it. So key race we should keep our eyes on. Now, she's not the only, British Idiom's not the only potential Oaks runner in your barn. Let's talk about a horse who you gave some lofty praise, saying the sky's the limit, and that is Taraz. And for all you out there, I'm not sure the people who named her, their exact motivation, but Taraz is an ancient city over 2,000 years old in Kazakhstan. So I don't know if she's named after that. It was on the Silk Road way back in the day, and now she's on the road potentially to the Kentucky Oaks. Tell us about her.
Well, she's a big, beautiful Juddmonte homebred that's by Into Mischief.
Yeah.
She's a really, really big filly and just super talented. I mean, it's hard to believe she could be as big as she is and be as fast as she is.
When you say big, are we talking like 16 and a half, 17 hands?
I haven't put a stick on her, but she's got to be close to. She's probably a good solid 16. She may be 17. But okay. I mean, it's not just all. She's big, wide. I mean,
she's big everywhere.
She would probably break it if I had one. she's an extremely big filly, and she's an amazing talent. Look, you never know if they'll go long until you try them. I'm really looking forward to giving her a shot going long. She looks like she'll go long. She's supposed to go long.
Yes.
Being out of the Empire Maker mare.
Yes.
I think she's an incredible talent. She's been good since day one. Garrett O'Rourke sent her in to us, and he said, really think this filly could be something. I mean, for the other horses on the farm, his exact words were, they have to take 2 strides to keep up with her one, and it's kind of been the case here with us as well. She's just a phenomenal talent, and looking forward to really stretching her out. We're pointing for the Martha Washington with her. We think it's the logical spot moving forward. Is
February 1st at Oaklawn, right?
Yeah, February 1st at Oaklawn. I think it's February 1st. Yeah, at Oaklawn. It's a 2-turn mile. I figure it makes the most sense as getting her started. Mm-hmm. Obviously, she's a stake winner, but we got to test her around 2 turns, and I'm optimistic and really do think that she'll handle it, but until we try it, we'll see what happens. But she's a very nice filly. I'm very excited about her, and hopefully she'll handle the 2 turns.
Well, being the petty geek, I had to take a look at the pedigree beyond just the sire, damn sire, and I gotta completely concur with you. I mean, this filly should relish 2 turns. For those of you who don't know, Taraz, she's 2 for 2. She won her debut at first asking, obviously being 2 for 2, she won at first asking, but that was back at Churchill Downs, going 6.5 furlongs. She scored it by 7.5 lengths. Then she went on and won the 6 furlong Letellier Memorial Stakes by 11.25 lengths. That was over a sloppy sealed track. So we've seen her over 2 different tracks, 2 different goings. And this filly, as Brad said, is out of an Empire Maker mare. Of course, Empire Maker won the Belmont Stakes. That's 1.5 miles. But beyond that, get this. This is where it's pretty fun and gets me all petty geeky. So her second dam, her grandmother, is stakes winner Group 1 place Jibe, and she's a full sister to Flower Bowl winner Yashmak and a half to champions Commander-in-Chief, who won both the Upsom and Irish Derby, and as well as Warning, who has scores in the Sussex and Queen Elizabeth II on his resume. So, I mean, just the fact you have, her dam being by a Belmont winner, you have her grandmother being a half to an Epsom Derby winner. I mean, the distance is there. So now it's just a matter of proving it out, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all there, and it all looks like it's there. But like you said, you just got to see it for yourself.
Now, you had been originally toying with the idea of the Silver Bullet Day, right?
We nominated. It was ultimately it's up to Garrett and Juddmont, but I think they were good with the timing of the Martha Washington and the mile with maybe a little bit of a shorter stretch as opposed to church or fairgrounds with the long stretch, and just I think the timing's probably the biggest thing. Just giving her the time. We like 6 weeks off a horse with a big effort, and we just think that makes more sense right now. And it's going to give us an opportunity to ask her to do a couple things. We'll ship her not right on top of the race, but we'll just kind of watch the weather at Oaklawn, and if everything looks good with the weather and everything, that's probably where we'll land.
How do you balance having two prospects like this who both are legitimate talents, and you want to obviously allow both to reach their uttermost potential? I mean, you can't. It's like having two children, right? I mean, you can't really play favorites and.
No, you can't. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's a good position to be in, but you got to let the horses do the talking. I mean, obviously they're great horses to be in this position, or we think, and we have some other fillies I think that are going to play a role in the Oaks.
Oh, well, drop some names.
Yeah, I mean, Portrait's a nice.
Oh yes, that's Ellen J. Fox's, right?
She would. Yes. Ellen J. filly that we thought a lot of her last year. She was third in the Pocahontas and had a little bit of a tight trip. Maybe just didn't give us quite the performance we were looking for. And I probably ran her back a touch quick off breaking her maiden. We kind of thought about the Pocahontas or the Alcibiades, kind of in fear of not getting into Alcibiades, and then she just didn't really give us what we were looking for in the Pocahontas, so we just backed off of her. She's a really big filly, good sized filly, a lot of leg, and we're actually going to enter her tomorrow on the Silver Bullet Day. That's
okay.
With her. Yeah, she's eligible for a first level allowance, but we feel we have enough confidence in her to pass that right now and just go straight to the stake and just kind of see what happens. I mean, look, we can always come back to the first level allowance, but I think I don't think the Silver Bullet Day is going to come up with a big field. I think it's going to be 7-8 horse field, and she belongs. I think her numbers are stacked up, and she's worthy of an opportunity there. She's a very nice filly.
Well, that's exciting to have, so many nice fillies in the barn, but you also have a really nice colt who is pointing to run that same day, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, we're talking about Mr. Monomoy Girl's little half brother, where she's by Tapizar, he's by Palace Malice, and you're pointing him to the Lecomte, right?
Yes, he breathes really well this morning at the fairgrounds, and we'll enter him tomorrow for the Lecomte.
Well, what can you tell us about him and what your how he's? I mean, there's always pressure when you have a superstar sibling, and then the younger one comes into the barn. Did he look to have similar, or at least stakes ability to follow suit with his sister?
He's a very nice horse. I really do like him. He was bought out of a sale in France, and Bruce Jackson looked after him for a little bit once he got stateside, and he came to us a little bit of a green horse. Took a little while to catch on, but we liked. First race was kind of. I mean, he was eliminated at the start by Smith Road. He liked him. He come back and said, "Look, you're gonna have some fun with him." He really ran on well down the lane. I think he slapped him on the shoulder a couple times that day, and he said, "You're gonna have some fun with this horse." And then he was able to come back and do things the right way. He was able to break, get in the race, and basically take control of the race early and finish the way we were looking. Kind of how we expected. We expected him to run a big race second time.
Scored by 5.5 lengths.
Yeah, it was a big effort. And then his last race, first time going long, we were defeated by a horse that had a little bit more seasoning and had one going long already. So I always think that's worth something. So I do think this horse will improve in his second start going long, and he'll need to. I mean, we're going from having run second, beaten ahead in a first level allowance. Now we're going into a grade 3, so he will have to step up. He's shown everything's been positive since that allowance race. He's had 2 really solid works. He had one last Saturday, and he followed up with another one today. So as long as he looks good tomorrow morning, we'll enter him. And I think he's a live horse in Lecomte. I really like the horse.
Well, the Lecomte has been actually extended from 1 mile and 70 yards to 1 mile and 16th. And like you're saying, it's nice that he's got that route under his girth. I like that he's by Palace Malice. Palace Malice, of course, won the Belmont Stakes, but he also had, he also won the Met Mile. So he's versatile that way. And Palace Malice himself is a son of Curlin, who obviously could win at distance. So what is he like in terms of temperament, this horse? Because we heard Monomoy Girl's got she's got some fire, right? She's a fiery chestnut.
She does. She can. Like when she turns around to train of the mornings, like. I mean, she likes to jump on the bridle and go. He's similar. I don't really know how. Like they don't. Obviously, he's a bay horse. She's chestnut. They don't really look alike. They got some similarities, maybe through their head and through their eye, maybe a little bit. But they're both. When they turn around to gallop, I mean, they're business, and he's becoming a really good workhorse. And I look back at her early on. I mean, she didn't like go out there and completely dazzle us in the beginning. She got better as the year went on, and that's kind of what we're seeing with him. So that kind of seems to be the thing with the horses. They end up going long anyway. They don't have to burn the track up in the morning. They just kind of get a little better, and they're able to shut it off and relax, do a race. And Florent did a great job on him last time. He broke and he settled, and he just got nailed there late. And I think he was just maybe getting a little tired. Like I said, first time around 2 turns. I think he got a lot out of that race mentally and physically.
Well, I like the balance of the speed and stamina that he has in the pedigree. Now, both he and Monomoy Girl are out of a mare named Dramette. She's by Henny Hughes. Henny Hughes himself was second in the 2005 Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then later on, in his career, he won grade 1s in the King's Bishop and the Vosburg. So again, it's nice to have that dimension, and with Palace Malice bringing that extra bit of stamina through Curlin, it's a very encouraging pedigree that gets better with time. And let's talk about Monomoy Girl now that we're on this subject. We have not seen her since she won the Breeders' Cup Distaff in 2018. Obviously, powerhouse, Eclipse champion. Can you explain to our viewers who maybe don't know all the details why she got sidelined in 2019, what she had been doing throughout the year, and the process in bringing her back for 2020?
2019, we pretty much felt like we were, fairly close to racing last spring, and then she had an impaction and ended up having to go to the clinic, and it took its toll on her. She had lost some weight. We just decided to turn her around, give her some green grass, and let her chill out over at Windstar Farm. They did a great job bringing her back, and then.
And when you say impaction, for those who don't know, you're talking about like a colicky type of episode.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a form of colic, just basically, an impaction. So we gave her the time, we brought her back, and then basically we were shopping for races. We had already started the process of nominating her. We were looking at spots like the ACAC, the Lucas Classic. I mean, just rattling off some names of some races we were looking at. Obviously, we didn't make it. We're looking at the Zenyatta at Santa Anita. We're just, allowance races. I mean, we were just looking at whatever, just to get her race into her and get her back going. And I think it was would have been September. We'd worked her one morning and just wasn't quite happy with the way she was cooling out. I noticed it right away and just kind of thought, well, we'll just let her settle a little bit and get her out and look at her. And I got her out about an hour later and just kind of looked at her, and she was just a little off behind. She's diagnosed with a pulled muscle, gluteal, and we just give her some time for that. And we went to she hung out at Windstar for a while, and then when the weather turned cold, we decided to get her down to Paul Sharp, which had broke her. He broke her, and he also gave her break from 3 to 4 last winter. So Paul's obviously very familiar with her, knows her very well, was in the process with Liz as far as picking her out as a yearling. And she's been down there, I would say, since maybe the 1st of November, and I've been getting some videos over the last probably month of her galloping, and she looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's doing well. I'm sure people have seen her gallops on social
Liz,
media.
yes. Liz is great about keeping updates for the public on her, and the video she just put, was it yesterday she posted it?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Pulling exercise rider Mario around the track.
Yeah. Well, Mario's actually the guy. Mario. She was saying Mario needs to lift weights because she's so strong. Mario worked for us, and he's followed her. He's had her since she was a 2-year-old galloping her for us. So, yeah, she looks strong and ready to do a little more. So I think she's due in next Wednesday to the fairgrounds, and we'll start preparing her. Like I told someone earlier today, we she owes us nothing. We love her. She's been great to all of us. She's a horse of a lifetime, and she'll only make it. She'll only run if she's 100% online. I feel like honestly, I don't feel any pressure with training her. I'm really looking forward to getting her back into the barn. I was telling someone I was watching her Breeders' Cup Kentucky Oaks races over the holiday break, and just very fortunate to have had her in the barn, and she's an amazing horse, and she's just really looking forward to getting her back, and I hope she makes it back. But like I said, she owes us nothing. Right. She'll only return if she's 100%, bottom line.
Well, one of the questions we got was from racing super fan. To know Jay is to love Jay. Jay Delascar, if you're watching, hello. And he was wondering, if all systems are go, would you be more prone to, even though she's joining you at the fairgrounds, would you be looking more specifically for those races there, or is it just because that's where you are now, and maybe you're looking ahead to Keeneland?
Yeah, she would. It would probably be. We would probably just use this more of a place to train her. I don't know if they really ought. I don't think they really have anything that would fit her down here. We would probably look more like maybe Oaklawn, Keeneland, Churchill, something like that in the spring. We're going to take our time.
Absolutely, and like you said, she doesn't owe you anything, and that's that's been so key. I mean, the people that you hear run the sport, the people who have the greatest success, are the people who listen to their horses, and so commend you on that. So now, also in Ocala, currently enjoying vacation in the Florida sunshine, is Covfefe. Now, obviously, it's a made-up word, so you can say it pretty much however you choose. How do you, Brad Cox, say her name?
Covfefe.
Covfefe. It's great. And, the thing that's so fitting, too, is because, for this name that came about because, President Trump tweeted out something by mistake, or maybe it wasn't, maybe it was code. But despite the negative press, Covfefe. And it's kind of fitting because, in this day and age, what's going on and whatnot, she's a type of horse, Covfefe is a type of horse that reminds you what is so good about the sport, the raw talent she has, the ability, the guts, the heart, and the fact that she has connections around her that let the fandom share in her success. When you first got this horse, was she already named, one? And two, if not, or when you did find out her name, did you already know she had talent, so you knew this was a horse that was going to making headlines?
She showed up with the name, and I remember my assistant at Keeneland, Tess, was like, she's like, what's that mean? I was like, so we obviously had to Google it and stuff, but she's a horse that Chris Alexander, he's a part of the McCathins group, and he sent her. He's like, she's a good filly. Yeah, I remember he said she's a good filly, and I said, is she a Saratoga filly? And he said, yes. And I said,
awesome.
And I worked her one time at Keeneland, the first time we worked her, and I thought, yeah, this is probably a Saratoga horse. Yeah, she's been good from day one. She really has. She's an amazing talent, and she's an awesome filly. It's so funny too because she's so sweet. I mean,
Yeah.
on it most days she's a very sweet filly. She loves peppermints. You can walk up, pet her. The only time she really kind of gets a little feisty. It's almost like she knows when she's getting ready to run. She'll get a little feisty right before a race, and then after her race, she gets a little territorial after a race. It's kind of funny to see fillies when they act that way. Just their attitudes. It's like she just gets really defensive, like she doesn't want you to come in her stall after a race. So it's really cool. Like, she's got a personality. She's really cool filly.
I love it. Well, you talked about the McCathens. McCathens, by the way, remind our viewers, are the ones who also got the career of American Pharoah started, so they know talent when they see it. And, I was actually at Saratoga when she won there over Serengeti Empress. And it was really cool because Lee McCathen was there. And just, having such a connection to such a great horse and seeing her succeed like that was, it was heartening to see her enjoy that victory. But going on to the Breeders' Cup, here you had one Breeders' Cup win under your belt with Monomoy Girl again in 2018. Then British Idiom gave you another, your second in the British Cup Juvenile FIllies, and then Covfefe comes through for you in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. What was it like watching that race? Did your heart beat an extra second when you saw Bellafina coming running down the middle of the track?
Joel did a great job. No one could have rode her any better. He put her in a great position that day. I thought he did exactly. I think, there was some concern with the one hole. I know some people had jumped off of her. It's like, the one hole's tough. But, she was 2 for 2. Her probably most dominating victory she broke from the one hole at Pimlico. So, I didn't really have any issues with the one hole. I was just a little more concerned about how she would navigate coming out of the chute, like where she would lay, and Joel did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he forced his way, put himself up in there, and he was aggressive enough, and she's obviously a fast filly, and she has gears, and she can obviously, for whatever reason, people, I guess when you're that fast, they don't think you can rate, but she's manageable. She'll do what a rider wants her to do. I thought going up the backside, mission accomplished as far as where we need to be. We're right where we need to be, say, going up the backside, going into the turn. It's set up for us. Now we got to see how good we are. And, when we straightened up, we got away from them. And she responded well. And, they're late. I was thinking, this filly's coming at us. And this filly, Bellafina, had a good trip that day, and Flavian did a good job of putting her in position, and she had a good clean run at us, and we held her off, and it was a great race from this filly, and she's a tremendous talent. It just really capped off an amazing year with her.
Well, that's undoubtedly true, and I think it's pretty much a lock that she's going to be your Eclipse champion female sprinter. She's also up for Eclipse champion 3-year-old filly, so she could take 2 of those awards home. That's pretty cool right there. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm always curious because her groom, I happened to meet her groom just a little bit before the race itself, when things were still quiet on the backside, because I had come in search of you to talk about British Idiom. And so while we were hanging out, he approached me because he thought I was Brittany Urton, which is a great compliment. Thank you. And so he's like, did you interview your dad? Did I see you interviewing your dad? And I finally realized what the mistake was. But anyway, he and I got to talking. And it was so cool because here you had somebody who was hired, not because he knew horse racing, he was hired because he's a security guard. Yet he had taken it upon himself to learn everything about Covfefe. He knew her past performances. He'd watched the replays. he was just so proud to be assigned to her. And he had told me, he said, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to go to the front side to watch her run it. I have, ever since that conversation, have been wondering if he ever got to the front side.
Yeah, I'm not sure he did, but the security guard they did assign us there was a couple of them, but there was one guy in particular that had night patrol that was he was a really good guy. He made sure everything was good. I told him, look, if there's any issues, you call me. And that Santa Anita did a good job of putting good guys in front of our horses for sure.
Oh yeah, everybody I encountered who was watching after these horses was completely professional and looking out always for their best interest, making sure they weren't disturbed, making sure that people who were in the shed row were supposed to be in the shed row, but doing it in a non-aggressive manner. They were fantastic. So kudos to the crew out there. So again, let's talk about Coffefe's plans going forward. Again, she's at McCath & Brothers. That's who broke her. Chilling out right now in Florida. What, again, is the short-term schedule for what you're expecting?
She's going to come back in next week as well.
Okay.
And once again, I mean, we'll just get her back going. Obviously, the goal, the number one goal this year would be to get her back to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland, going 7/8 in the filly mare sprint. And how we get there, I mean, I feel like between Alex, Jason, and Jamie, come up with a good plan as far as where to run her, how to get her to races, like as far as like the Roxalana. No, we didn't win it, but it was a good stepping stone to the test. The Dogwood, she was very impressive. It was a stepping stone to the Breeders' Cup. So, we don't feel like we have to be in grade ones every time. We don't feel like we have to have her 100% cranked down, ready to go, screws as tight as they can be when she runs in her first race, whenever that may be. And, it's about, like I said, giving her a shot at some grade ones this year. Hopefully we can knock off a few and get her back to the Breeders' Cup. Well,
one of the coolest things I think about in terms of Coffefe is the fact that, I love seeing horses with talent, period, but it's really nice to see horses who have talent and you can trace to why. This is a filly with just an absolutely tremendous pedigree by Into Mischief, and then from the female family of Arch, Acoma, and Althea. And for those of you who remember back in the day, Althea, that filly was a freak. In addition to winning the Del Mar Debutante, she won the Del Mar Futurity over males, and then she won the Arkansas Derby over males in a field that included Gate Dancer. So the fact that she has those genetics at play, she's a horse that would have always retained value no matter what. And so it's just all the more exciting to see her be the champion that she is. So let's also talk about Arklow. Let's give some love to another one of your boys. And he is, speaking of Arch, he's a son of Arch, and he's out of an Empire Maker mare, Unbridled Empire. He's targeting the Pegasus World Cup turf. And so he's going to be cutting back to a mile 3/16. How do you feel he's training up into this? Obviously, just quick mention, before the Breeders' Cup, he had won the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic, 1.5 miles. Again, on the cutback, what are your expectations?
I expect him to run well if he's doing as well 2 weeks as he was this morning. We breezed him this morning on the dirt at the fairgrounds, and he breezed extremely well. This
nice.
We gave him some time off in the barn after the Breeders' Cup, and you start cranking him back up, and we really didn't know where we were going with this horse, and then we got a call from Gulfstream. Mike Lakeout gave me a call and just said, "Hey, look, this horse is going to be on an invite list. There's no fees involved. $1 million, mile 3/16, no Lasix." And I talked to Jerry Crawford about it. He thought about it. We mulled it over. We thought about this. Maybe Saudi. Saudi had a turf race going a mile 7/8, and we kind of landed there when at Gulfstream. I just think the risk of of going all the way over there, I think it may jeopardize the rest of the year a little bit.
Okay.
So we thought let's stay in America. Gulfstream, mile 3/16. We're cutting him back. I never think there's much of a negative with a cutback.
No.
And this horse will run on anything. He probably prefers a little cut in the ground, but like Santa Anita, he ran his he got the best rag number out of any of the horses that ran in the Breeders' Cup Turfs. He ran a winning race in the Breeders' Cup Turf. He just didn't get the trip. I think he was acting up a little bit in the gate. It was just wide, nobody's fault, just the way the race unfolded. Yeah. But he ran a big race. He wasn't beaten very far, and he came out of it in good shape. And I think with a good trip at Gulfstream, he can definitely run with those horses. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, those horses, it's pretty exciting if this field comes into play. We may see Group 1 winner Magic Wand, who was second to our likely horse of the year, Bricks and Mortar, who won this year's Breeders' Cup Turf last year. And then she's coming out of a second place finish in the Longines Hong Kong Cup, coming over here for O'Brien. And then another interesting Group 1 winner invited to the Pegasus Turf is Chad Brown, trainee without parole. He's a son of Frankel. And he was last third in the Breeders' Cup Mile to Uni and got Stormy. So that's an exciting race.
Yeah, no doubt. It's taking shape, and it's going to be a very competitive race, and we'll see how it plays out. But I really, like I said, Arclo's doing extremely well, and the plan right now is to jump on the plane on the 21st, and like I said, if he's doing as well in 2 weeks as he is today, he'll definitely be a factor.
Now, I had read something about that you were also, speaking of shipping, you just mentioned the Saudi Cup and then why you decided not to go there, and then you're going to run at Gulfstream. If all goes well here, was the Dubai Shima Classic something on the radar or no?
It is. We're going to see what happens at Gulfstream, but it's something that we've nominated him for. And one step at a time, but yeah, we're definitely, if everything goes well, Gulfstream we'll turn our attention toward Saudi and see how it plays out.
Just real quickly, I'm curious, what goes into? I mean, it's hard enough to ship a horse within a country. What's the preparation ahead of time, and then once the horse lands, when you're shipping internationally like that?
To be honest, I've never run a horse in Dubai. So it's a little unknown for me as well. That was another thing. Like, obviously, Saudi. This is the first year for Saudi, so we just didn't really know how that race would come up going to mile 7/8. And I think I said earlier. I think I said we would turn our attention toward Saudi. I meant we would turn our attention toward Dubai.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
If everything goes well at Gulfstream, we will look at Dubai, not Saudi. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Well, we have a couple questions here. Candace Curtis, she is curious how Jezebel's Kitten, who won stakes race as Juvenile at Kentucky Downs, how she's doing.
She's doing really well. She went back into training right after Christmas. She's probably show up on the work tab next week, and we're just going to plot out hopefully some stakes for her. Maybe the first part of March. Stick to the grass with her being a kitten short. Yeah. Not a big filly, but a nice filly. We really thought she was going to run well in I think the Jessamine there at Keeneland. She was favored. She was fourth, a well-beaten fourth, just a little disappointed. I just don't know if that was her favorite ground to run on that day. That turf course had taken some rain. I believe that race was on a Wednesday. And she performed extremely well at Ellis and at Kentucky Downs. Those turf courses were really firm, hard maybe. So I don't know how much cut she likes in the ground. So that's the excuse we're going to give her for right now. And she got a little freshening. It was kind of like, obviously, if we ran well at Keeneland, we were going to go to the Breeders' Cup. That didn't happen. We didn't really see anything else out there for the time being, and we thought we'd just freshen her up, give her a little break. We did. She's back. She's doing great, and hopefully, like I said, she'll be back. Hopefully, find her in a race at some point in March.
And if all goes smoothly, I'm guessing pointing toward the Turf Tiara?
Yeah, that could be something. We'll see how things go this spring, but that's something we could definitely look at if she steps up.
Gotta love that. Now, okay, I have another question. This one's actually from Matt Carruthers, and he wants to know He wants to know if you're going to win the 6th race at Aqueduct tomorrow.
The 6th race.
I can't think of the horse's name right now. Win when you want to, or score when I want. Score. I can't think of the horse's name right now.
The 6th at tomorrow's Saturday, right?
This
is a tough. I think this is a tough race. I looked at this race really, really hard last night. There's a couple New York breds in there that are solid, but this horse ran big last time. I like to shorten up with him. He's doing well. We're running back just a touch quick, but he did have a really good work last weekend there at Belmont on the training track, and he's doing well. I like the post. I like the cutback, and we're going to find out if he can compete at the first level allowance.
Matt likes the how the pace looks to project for him. So
outside post, Jose Lozano.
He's shouting outside post, Jose Lozano.
There you go. Well, I think last time he broke from the inside though.
There you go, right? Well, we will be staying tuned for that. And then, of course, I can't leave this one out. You may want to plead the 5th here. I don't know, but I have to ask it. Real Coffefe racehorse wants to know who your favorite horse is in the barn.
Definitely plead the 5th. I'll get shot if I say
It's like your children.
I have a handful of horses that I wouldn't say mean a lot. I mean, they all mean a lot to me, but like I have some favorites, but I can't say.
He'll never talk. But okay, well then how about this question? Here's a better one. And this one will keep you from offending anybody or hurting any feelings. What horse to you has been your greatest inspiration in racing, period? Like you've been a fan of. I'm not creative here. It's Secretariat for me. Who is it for you?
That like
just that you're like a fan of your all-time favorite horse that you don't have a connection with personally.
There's two horses that I was always a big fan of.
Okay.
Lure.
Oh yeah.
Lure. I love Lure. It's just like I don't know. I love Lure. He was fast, and I mean, he was an amazing horse. And probably the other one's Ghost Zapper.
Oh my gosh! Hello. Yep.
Yeah, probably Ghost Zapper and Lure are probably. I'm a fan of. I'm a big fan. I wouldn't say they're my favorite horses. I like good horses, and I like horses that show speed, and those two horses were really fast. I've always been a big fan of Lure and Ghost Zapper.
Well, the cool thing with Ghost Zapper too, because he's one of those horses that would be on my list of just wow inspirations, is the fact that they could have gone. Obviously, they ended up going Breeders' Cup Classic at Lone Star. He set the record, which still stands. But yet they could have put him in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
Yeah. I mean, he was an amazing horse. I know when I was with Dallas, we had a horse named Clockstopper that was running at him. I can't remember exactly what race. It may have just been. I can't even remember what race it was. But I was at Ellis Park watching the race, and we had Clockstopper. He was a gelding by Gilded Time.
Oh wow!
And he got as close to beating Ghost Zapper at one time, and that Ghost Zapper was just an amazing horse, and he was so fast, and I mean some of his races were just amazing, and I mean the job Bobby Franklin did with him was tremendous. I mean, some of his races, I believe the one year he won the Met Mile off a long layoff or something. It may have been the last race he ever run. He was just an amazing horse, and I was a big fan of that horse.
Well, we're a big fan of you and your horses, and I want to thank you so much for the time you've given us tonight. We wish you all the best going forward with your horses, all the best at the Eclipse Awards. That's so exciting. Congratulations on all the success. And we look forward to having you back on this show once we have some entries going forward.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.
Thank you so much, Brad. Have a great evening, and thank you for tuning in. This has been your Future Stars Friday Forecast.